And some new concerns cropping up for Hillary Clinton. Although she has not officially entered the race, she is considered a likely Democratic candidate for president. Republican columnist Ed Rogers wonders whether she is growing distant from her own party because it's moving toward the left. There are also fears that her foreign policy positions might present some problems for her as well. So let's talk about Hillary Clinton's electability. Joining us now, Jamie Weinstein, senior editor of the Daily Caller, and Jonathan Allen, Washington bureau chief for Bloomberg News. Welcome to both of you. Jonathan, let's start with you first. Any question in your mind that Hillary Clinton's going to run?
No question in my mind. In fact, I think she's been running since 2008. If she were to stop now, it would be the political surprise of the young century.
Well, she started, as you mentioned, in 2008, and she wasn't elected then. What happened, and could it happen again?
Sure. I think a couple of things happened in 2008. I think, number one, she ran a pretty bad campaign in the early part. She was arrogant. She presumed that she was going to be the Democratic nominee. I think there's some concerns in her camp and certainly within the Democratic Party that some of that is repeating itself. I think there is a big difference right now, which is that there's no rival like Barack Obama on the horizon to rally both the white liberal voters and another segment of the Democratic electorate against her. Right now, she polls extremely well with pretty much every segment of the Democratic Party. Her problems have not made her suffer. If you look at her matchups against Elizabeth Warren or Joe Biden, she's still crushing them.
Jamie, she doesn't have a rival named Barack Obama, but she has a record with Barack Obama serving in his administration. Does that help or hurt her?
Well, it hurts her. I would say this. I think that Hillary Clinton is the single most overrated politician on the American political stage today. You have to ask yourself, what exactly are her achievements? She was elected senator from New York primarily because she was the wife of the outgoing president. By all accounts, she was a run-of-the-mill senator. She has very few accomplishments as Secretary of State. The world seems to be on fire. When you ask her what her accomplishments were, she points to the fact that she traveled over 900,000 miles, thereby confusing the job description for an achievement. And if we're really frank about it, what inspires passions by those who support her is her gender, that she would be the first woman president of the United States. So I think she is vulnerable if someone like Elizabeth Warren jumped in. She says she won't. And actually gave her a primary challenge, and she's certainly vulnerable to a strong Republican challenger in the general election.
Well, Jonathan, he says that she got elected essentially because she was the wife of the former president. That worked in New York State. Could it work on a national level, Jonathan?
Well, I don't think she's going to campaign as the wife of Bill Clinton, number one. Number two, I completely agree with Jamie that she's got an uphill climb to win a third consecutive term for the Democratic Party in the White House. I think it'll matter a lot who Republicans nominate. And look, of course, she is less popular than Santa Claus or spiked eggnog this season, but a lot more popular within the Democratic Party than Elizabeth Warren is. I think there's a lot of interest on the media level. I hate to say it's a little bit of a media creation, but I think it's a little bit of a media creation. I think we kind of want to fight. It's interesting. It's good to cover. And at the same time, if you look at the public, Elizabeth Warren's numbers really aren't moving up a lot.
Well, Jamie, I mentioned in the lead-in that column from Ed Rogers, the Republican strategist who wonders aloud whether the fire in the Democratic Party right now is coming from, the Elizabeth Warren faction, the liberal faction, and they don't necessarily see Hillary Clinton as their standard bearer. What do you think about that?
Well, it's true to some extent that maybe Elizabeth Warren is a media creation, but that's because most of the Democratic base who don't pay attention to politics like we do probably still don't know much about her. I think that she could cause problems. Jim Webb maybe caused some problems. He might not be able to win the nomination, but he has kind of a attractive foreign policy background to some on the Democratic left. So I don't think that she's going to have this smooth run. I think that she's going to have to face some questions, and that might bloody her going into the general if she wins the Democratic nomination.
Jonathan, it's typically been Republicans who have nominated the guy who finished second last time. Would Democrats basically be doing that this time with Hillary Clinton?
Sure, that's what they would be doing this time. It is a role reversal for the parties. This is not your George H.W. Bush and 1988, who had finished, second to Ronald Reagan in 80. It's not, John McCain coming back in 2008 after 2000. It's not Mitt Romney in 2012. The Democrats have typically wanted new blood, at least in recent times. They had nominated Adlai Stevenson a couple of times, who lost for the presidency. Each election is different, no matter how many times we hear the names Bush and Clinton, and it feels like we're in a Back to the Future machine in a DeLorean. Each election is different.
Jonathan Allen and Jamie Weinstein, thanks for coming out on this Christmas Eve and joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thanks.